Today, we've got a listing optimization expert on the show who's helped hundreds of Amazon sellers, and she's going to show her latest tactics and also show how for one Project X listing, she was able to double the conversion rate. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think. Not sure on what main image you should choose from, or maybe you don't know whether buyers would be interested in your product at a certain price point. Perhaps you want feedback on your new brand or company logo. Get instant and detailed market feedback from actual Amazon Prime members by using Helium 10 Audience. Just enter in your poll or questions, and within a short period of time, 50 to 100 or even more Amazon buyers will give you detailed feedback on what resonates with them the most. For more information, go to h10.me/audience. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Serious Sellers Podcast by Helium 10. I'm your host, Bradley Sutton, and this is the show that's a completely BS-free, unscripted, and unrehearsed, organic conversation about serious strategies for serious sellers of any level in the e-commerce world. And I'm not going too far in the world away from me, about 300-400 miles in Las Vegas is where you're at right now, right, Emma?
Absolutely. Las Vegas, Nevada.
Trying to stay cool in that ridiculous desert heat we were just talking about. I'm melting here at 84, but what did you say it is where you are right now?
A whopping 30 degrees more. It is 104 degrees Fahrenheit.
Woo!
Oh, I guess today, 20. Apparently my math is not mathing this afternoon.
We're going to be talking about how to make your Amazon listings hot, 115 degrees. But yeah, it's not in real life. I am not about this life. But anyways, let's just let people know. We had a little bit of your backstory in a episode we did about a year ago. So if you guys wanted to check that out, go to h10.me/368, or if you're watching this on podcast or YouTube, just look for episode 368 from the podcast last year. She was on with another friend of the show, Rich Goldstein. So that was a good episode to check out. But today we're going to be talking a lot about some case studies that Emma's been working on with us, as well as some new content that we're going to announce is going to be available in Freedom Ticket. But before we get to there, let's just talk about it. Vegas is not where you were born and raised. You just told me you moved from Missouri. So what was that a difficult decision to because Missouri to Vegas is kind of a geographically and culturally, I think, kind of a big difference there.
It's definitely a big difference. I've actually lived a lot of different places in my life, including out of the country. I studied abroad in Ecuador. I taught English in Spain. I lived in Israel for almost 3 years. So it actually wasn't super difficult for me to decide to move to Vegas. I will say I wasn't the most enthusiastic when my husband/business partner, Erez, first proposed the idea. In my mind, Vegas was the Strip and not much else. But as I've spent time here, I've realized there's a whole city beyond the Strip, and it's a really awesome place to get to spend my days.
Have you been to any of the Vegas Amazon events since you've been there, like Prosper and stuff that before you would have to take about 2-3 flights to get to, but now you just hop into an Uber and go to it? Like, have you been able to experience that yet?
Yes, and it is amazing to go to an event and then know that you get to sleep in your own bed, not have to stress about.
Point. Yep.
No stressing about packing. Everybody's living in a hotel. You're just like, okay, good night. I'm gonna go get a good night's sleep without any, noisy neighbors or whatnot to worry about. I can brew myself my nice coffee in the morning. Yeah, it's a great place for the industry that we're in, and it's a great place to enjoy all the fun things that Vegas has to offer.
We're going to be talking about some Project X stuff here, but what about just your regular clients? Like, any cool stories has happened since last year? I mean, obviously, I know some people don't want their products put on blast, but any stories without burning somebody's identity that you could say, like, oh, you had one client and then you guys worked on this plan together and oh my goodness, their sales doubled, or some amazing story like that?
A client, actually, they didn't know what was going on. Suddenly their sales were just going through the roof and they're like, what's happening? And an employee of mine noticed that they'd gone viral on TikTok. And they didn't know it. So they're like, oh my gosh, what's happening? So that was really cool just to, be able to be a party to that whole experience, because that can really change a business in the snap of a finger, and honestly create a whole lot of other challenges. It's not all roses. It's great to have lots of sales, but if you're not really in a position to know how to manage it, it can definitely create some road bumps. But all the time.
Was that just random, or like just somebody randomly put it on TikTok, or was there something that you guys did that?
No, it wasn't. I mean, obviously, well, not obviously. They were most likely found originally by this person because, they had a good listing that helped sell them on it. It wasn't anything that was well known. And then all of a sudden they just blew up. But all the time we have people contacting us about the positive impacts that they're enjoying, everything from serious improvements to their conversion rates to just completely changing the entire profile of their business. I think obviously, as many sales as possible is the really exciting part of what we do, but there are so many impacts that a well-optimized listing can have on your business that go beyond just the conversions. So, if you're dealing with lower return rates or more enthusiastic positive reviews, all of those things kind of feed each other and create this positive momentum that can really strengthen and make a business more efficient so that it's, maximizing whatever spend you're putting into it to get the most out of those investments, and then generating really positive returns. So I can't even think of one in particular, but I just know that on a regular basis, we're getting those messages of the positive ways that what we're doing is impacting our clients' businesses.
Okay. Cool. Now, what do you think is one of the biggest factors nowadays that, obviously, I'm sure when you take on clients, you give complete once over and optimize everything, but like, what is the biggest game changer for your clients that you have done where like people are just doing things the wrong way? Is it like on the PPC side? Is it going from no A+ content to A+ content? Is it creating a brand story? Is it refreshing the images? Is it just the listing copy? All of this works together. Of course, you can't have necessarily one for the other, but like if you would point to one of those things that really consistently makes a big difference, what would you say it is?
I don't want to speculate just purely based on one particular part of the listing. My gut tells me that probably A+ content is one of the most significant things that you can upload to a listing and have a positive impact. But I don't have that exact, enough data to be able to say with certainty. But the reason why I would say that is a fewfold. So one being that Amazon comes out and says A+ content positively impacts your conversion rate, and they've clearly got all the data on that. Two, you're gaining more space for SEO because you have the image keywords. So you have a lot of additional fields that you can fill in with keywords that you wouldn't have previously. So we're having an impact on SEO. We're having an impact on the customer experience. You also have an opportunity to be able to upsell or cross-sell with that comparison chart module, whether you have standard A+ or premium A+. So it just is influencing so many different aspects of what you're trying to do that I feel like that has the most far-reaching elements. So I guess that would be my answer.
Well, premium A+, that's kind of a newer thing for some people because, that wasn't always available just to the masses. What have you been seeing? Like, would you suggest to everybody, hey, get qualified for premium A+ content and 10 out of 10 implement it? Or have you seen cases where putting the effort and spending to get a video and this and that, like it really didn't change conversion, much, or is it something that you suggest to everybody to get to do?
To me, while it's free, so originally, for those that aren't familiar, Premium A Plus used to only be something that was available to a very select group of very large businesses. It was invite only, and you still had to pay a lot of money in order to be eligible for it. So about a year ago, Amazon made it available to any seller that is brand registered, has uploaded a brand story, and has had at least 15 pieces of enhanced brand content approved within the last 12 months. So you no longer have to spend money in order to qualify for the program. Of course, creating premium A+ content is going to come with a heftier bill, just because there are more dynamic modules. You're able to upload more images. It's wider screen, so even having better resolution images, all of that definitely matters. But if you are able to qualify for it, I think that there are so many of the modules that give you so much better ability to really present your product in a way that is more aligned with what a customer is wanting and expecting to see when they're interacting with a website, that from that perspective alone, it's worth making the effort. You also, if you are low on budget, you don't have to upload a video, or if you do upload a video, it can be something, very simple. You don't have to go have a super highly produced video. I mean, I think one of the interesting things, even with this case study that we've been working on, Bradley, is these are images that Shivali created. She didn't go to some high-priced photographer to get everything done. And so it really demonstrates the ability that no matter where you are budget-wise, there's still a lot that you can do to make the most of the tools that Amazon is giving you in order to be able to sell your product to the best of its abilities. And then maybe, as you gain more traction, as you add more products to your catalog, then perhaps it's worth taking it to the next level and upgrading the quality of your images. But I wouldn't let that be a barrier to you. There's so many different levels of photography and design out there. And with AI, you can do, some good design work without needing to be an expert at Photoshop anymore. And so, yeah.
Let me just show the results. We're going to show the results and then work our way back and kind of reverse engineer, what happened. But let me just share my screen here for those watching this on YouTube. And I'm just taking a look at the product performance page in Helium 10 for this egg rack. And if I'm looking back at, when is this? The first 10 days of May, which is before on our old listing, we had a unit session percentage, as you guys can see, of 4.93%. Now, sales were still pretty high because in those days, we were all those days, as in all of 2 months ago, we were the only game in town as far as this particular kind of product. For like a year, we kind of had a stranglehold. Now, it's interesting. I went out of stock for a couple of weeks, but during that time, around June, was tons of competitors. Chinese competitors came in and are I wouldn't say half the price, but very, very cheap price. So theoretically, you would have thought our sales would go to zero because our sessions were way down. But take a look at this, guys. If I go up here, as you can see, from the first 10 days, so a kind of apples to apples comparison, first 10 days of July, and then we look at that same product, look at our unit session percentage now went to 11.24. So more than double. My sales would have been dead because our sessions have gone way down, but our sales have not gone down as much as one would expect, thanks to this much better conversion rate on the page. So let me just show you the end result here of what was done. We have new images here. We're going to talk about your thought process here with these. We've got some new copy right here. We've got new bullet points. And this listing did not have A+ content, and now we can see some A+ content here. So, I know it's been a couple of months since you worked in this, but think back to your thought process when you saw the old listing, which was just thrown together, a while back as part of a Project X episode or something we had done. But what was the things that jumped off where you're like, okay, yeah, we definitely need to upgrade this?
There were a lot of things. First of all, clearly there was no A+ content, so that was a no-brainer for us. The images were just a few basic product images. So if I remember correctly, and I could be mistaken, there were minimal lifestyle images. I don't think any of them really had text in them, which we can get into that and why that's so important. And the bullet points were not the worst, but pretty bland, just sort of straightforward. They didn't really have anything that helped to communicate why a person would want to buy this type of egg rack in particular. Another thing that we noticed is that it was very limited in sort of how the product itself was being presented. And so that was something else that we really thought about as we were embarking on this revamp, was how can we think creatively of who's going to be buying this, why they would be buying this, how they can make the most of it, and put together a strategy that's going to address all of those things throughout the entire listing. So really bringing to it a clear sense of who the customer is, what they care about, and why this product is the best product out there, rather than just kind of a more basic explanation of what it is and then allowing the customer to decide that.
Yeah, and we, in the past, I've worked a lot with professional photography studios and 3D, like AMZ One Step and others. But as you said, sometimes sellers might not have $1,000, $1,500, depending on what kind of shoot it's done, to really be able to afford something that extravagant. And we wanted to show kind of like, hey, if you don't have that kind of budget, maybe you could only afford hiring somebody from Upwork perhaps to do some photoshopping after you've taken some pictures with some decent pictures with cell phone, or you have a nice camera. And actually, all these pictures, guys, like I'm pretty sure this is Shivali's father's hand. He's got some bling here, some gold bling here. He is now a hand model here. These are all pictures done like with Shivali's cell phone at her house in North Carolina. 100% of these, this doesn't look like Shivali, so I'm not sure if this was like a stock photography or something here. But everything, like, how did you go about this? Did you like give her directions like, all right, hey, I need a shot like in a fridge, or did you just tell her to just take random pictures, or did you give her like this specific direction here on this stuff?
Yeah, so we gave pretty specific directions. That's one thing in general, whether you're working on a listing or a website or anything that has multiple professionals involved, and they don't have to be contractors, they can be people on your team. It's helpful to have someone taking the lead so that there is a clear unifying concept, because otherwise everybody's working individually and then trying to match that up and make something work is really difficult. So we gave a creative brief that suggested the different types of images to create so that those images would then align with the text that we were writing, so that it would be a very strong piece of marketing together when you combine those two things. So the image and the text are reinforcing each other. And so in those images, I think we have everything. I mean, some of these are even reflected in the keyword research, right? So kind of to take a step back for a moment, your research for creating a listing is really going to help determine the direction that you take. And so part of that is the keyword research that you're doing. So seeing what kind of keywords are people searching for. That was one of the things that was really eye-opening for us, because we realized, hey, there are a lot of competitors that are using terms like cake pop holder, or all these little serving, because it has these holes in it that make it so that it can be really great for single serving things if you're hosting a party or wanting to display food somewhere. And so we didn't want to stay so limited only to being an egg holder, because there were all of these other ways that you can utilize it. And the keywords were really what illuminated that opportunity for us. And so then we wanted to make sure, well, if we're using keywords like that, then we also need to be showing people what we mean when we say something like a cake pop holder, so that they can visualize it and imagine what it would be like to be hosting a party. And this egg holder, it's a more rustic design. It's wood. It's kind of traditional and a little bit timeless too, where it's very possible that the people that are buying this, they like things that are going to last, that they're also going to be able to maybe use in a variety of ways. So they're not just buying something that only has one function in their household, but something that they have that they can use in different types of settings. So it really even expands what the possibilities are, and even helps to justify the investment a little bit more, since this is on the pricier end of an egg holder. So that's one example. It's another set of keywords was talking about an egg holder for the refrigerator. This egg holder can be used either in the refrigerator or either on the counter. So being able to demonstrate those things in the images was really important, so that people can visualize, okay, this is what it would look like if I put it on my countertop. This is how it would function if I put it in my refrigerator, and helping to create those connections for people makes the purchasing decision much easier.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. But what you said, it seems like, without me talking to you at all during this process, how you just described this egg rack seems like exactly the way that you tackled that project as well. So this is kind of like a template, guys, of, you could be in a Gothic category, you could be in a kitchen category, you could be in supplements, but the principles are the same. Now, that being said, are there categories or kinds of products where your approach actually is different than what you've been talking about, because something different works in different categories? Or is this this approach that you've been talking about applicable to most, and I'm not talking about books, sure, or something like that, but just most regular products?
Yeah, so I think the main difference is, so both in the Gothic item as well as with the egg holder, these are a little bit more niche products. So they're not as competitive as categories. And so you can go a little bit broader with how you position something. Whereas on the other side, if you're selling something that's in a very competitive category, then it's actually a much better approach, especially when you're a new brand and you're launching at the very beginning, to go hyper specific. So you don't want to expand out and go in too many different directions, because it's going to be really difficult and very expensive to try to gain any kind of traction. So, you mentioned supplements. If you're just selling like a fish oil or something like that, which I'm not recommending that you sell fish oil. Well, if you just try to sell general fish oil, like an average fish oil that would be good for any single person to take, you're not going to go anywhere with that. You're going to spend a lot of money, and you're just going to, die a slow death on a page, whatever, 100.
Yeah.
Whereas if you were to maybe identify through doing some keyword research that there are actually a lot of people that are searching for fish oil for recovery from knee replacement surgery. I'm just making this up. Then it might be worthwhile to make your listing hyper targeted to people that are going through knee replacement surgery. So instantly, what is that going to mean for you? People that are getting knee replacements most of the time are older. And so you want to make sure in that case that like the images of people that you're using are older people that are, it's going to make sense that they're getting knee replacements versus, if you have a bunch of young looking athletes, there's going to be a big disconnect there. And so I think that's one of the main elements that you would want to be using in order to determine your approach to how to go. It's very easy, especially as a new seller, to kind of get starry-eyed and want to just sell to everyone. And I encourage people to really resist that urge and try to start off quite specific. And then if you eventually want to get a little bit more aggressive, once you have some reviews, have some good movement, demonstrate that this is something that has potential, then maybe you can get a little bit more aggressive with that. But I would say that overall, aside from that, the basic principles of making sure that the keywords that somebody is searching are also reflected in the content. And that I don't think is always the most obvious thing. We think of keywords as the thing that gets people in the door. But if that's what's on someone's mind when they're going into the search bar to search for a product, and then you're showing them, hey, this is what you were searching, that's going to help, help them understand, like, oh, I'm in the right place. I wasn't just, Amazon didn't just take me to some random product that doesn't have anything at all to do with what I was searching for, which as a customer, I've had that happen plenty of times.
Okay, so now one of the big things that you tackle with this, like you said, we did not have A+ content. So I know there's like different ways to kind of tackle A+ content. Some people like to just have kind of like make it seem like it's almost all one image and that it just kind of flows, but it's really different images, because that's what A+ content makes you put it in modules. But what was your reasoning behind this kind of like approach here? And I see a lot of like there's like it seems like you're focusing in on some of the features of it, like the wood finish, and then how it has these pegs so that doesn't go over. You show an actual chicken coop. I'm assuming this is maybe to go along with the branding here, and then you show some other use cases. Like looks like some chocolates. I'm getting hungry as it is. Like you said, the cake pops, and then now you can also show how you can. I mean, so you're saying there's like a lot going on here. Yeah. Do you always want to focus on the features like this, or sometimes you tell a story more? It just depends on the product, or is this kind of like your plan for A+ content?
I would say it all really depends on the product and what's required. The approach really is what do we feel that the customer needs to know? What's really important about the product that we need to communicate, and also what are the things that are really going to resonate with somebody or make them care about something. And so there were certain design features that we felt like were very important to this product that we did want to highlight. So the fact that it's solid wood, showing the fact that it's stackable and expandable. I am imagining this and sort of the avatar that we had in our minds, which for those that aren't familiar with what an avatar is, it's essentially sort of a imaginary person with a very detailed profile that is a potential customer of yours. And it can be a really helpful tool when you are creating any kind of marketing content, so that you're writing specifically to a person instead of just kind of to a whole blob of potential buyers. And so we're imagining someone that either aspires to have chickens or maybe even has chickens. It's actually a very popular lifestyle to have some backyard chickens and raise your own eggs. But if you can't do that, maybe going to the farmer's market. And there's a lot of different ideas that are kind of tied up in that. And so we wanted to draw that connection, because it's very different than if you're purely just needing function and you don't care about how it looks like and you don't really care about the whole idea of everything, then you can just buy a cheap acrylic or plastic egg holder that you can put in your refrigerator and that's that. But this is something that can be a really nice piece on your counter, and is something that's going to last and that's sort of aligns with visually the look of that rustic homesteading lifestyle that might just be aspirational or is in fact something that they're pursuing. And so thinking about the host, the gracious host, the person that's wanting to eat healthy, all of the different ideas that are associated with that, and then wanting to present that in a way that is visually helping to communicate those ideas, and then textually reinforcing the key details.
Now you know what you just said was just some of your tips for A+ content. Now you actually redid one of our older modules that needed some refreshing in Freedom Ticket. So guys, go into a Freedom Ticket, and I want you guys, those of you who have Helium 10, and we're trying to always update ones that might need refreshing, but go into 8.11. It's week 8, 8.11. You'll see Emma's new module here, and then around 8. It's not showing up here right now, but around 8.13, 8.15 about, you're going to see another module. And what was that one about? So it wasn't about A+ content, but what was the other one you made about?
Yeah, so that one is sort of for a slightly, people that they have a listing and they're trying to figure out, does it need work? So sort of how to think about, is it worth it? Is it time to do some revamping? So thinking about really that optimization process of, you have a listing, it's existing in the world. How can you think strategically about that to really take your listing to the next level?
Cool. So good stuff there, guys. Make sure to check that out. And we'll probably, once it's if you haven't seen it yet, I might have a clip of it. I'll try and throw it into the weekly buzz or something as well. All right, now before we get into your last Amazon tip of the day, one thing I ask people, 2023 is my year of health and wellness. So like, what are some of your habits as far as like hobbies, when you need to get away from the Amazon world? What are some things that you're doing to keep yourself physically, mentally healthy?
Yeah, I would say the top one is an evening walk. It sounds really simple and basic. The evening walk is having to get later and later as the temperatures rise, because, 7 p.m. is still pretty toasty here, but it's great, I would say, for all health. It's fantastic exercise. Walking is still shown to be one of the best ways of exercising your body, but it's great to be outside. I think it's very good for your mental health, and I feel so much better when I am walking regularly. Also, drinking a lot of water should not be underappreciated, and especially, again, in the climate that I'm in, I feel like I'm in a losing battle, but most of the time when I don't feel well, I'm thinking like, okay, what's going on? And then I sort of run my mental checklist of how many cups of water I've had. And so often, either if it's a headache or I'm feeling a little bit lethargic, it's just because I haven't had enough water. So 2 really simple, basic things, but I think that some of those types of things can have the biggest impact. So.
Now, before we get into your Amazon hack, if people want to find you on the interwebs, one of the easiest ways is through Helium 10. Guys, just go to hub.helium10.com and just type in Marketing by Emma. Actually, it comes up right here in the autocomplete. But Marketing by Emma, and then you'll be able to reach out. And then if you're an elite member, you actually have some discounts. Like I'm an elite member, so I can get some discounts. If you're a Helium 10 member, there might be different discounts that end up here. But make sure to hit the get in touch. How else can people find you on the interwebs out there?
Yeah, so our marketingbyemma.com is probably one of the best places to go. And on our website, you'll be able to find, if you're more of a phone person, you can call us, you can WhatsApp us, you can text us, you can email. All the things are there. We also offer a free listing analysis. So if you see all of this and you're like, I don't know, this is over my head, please take a look at it and tell me what I'm doing wrong. We can do that also.
I'm looking here, 92 5-star reviews. Good grief. Here in the hub, and guys, when you see verified reviewer, that means they were signed into Helium 10 when they left the review. So you could see lots of verified reviews here, just like on Amazon. My goodness, pretty impressive. I like it. All right, now what's your last 60-second or 30-second tip of the day or strategy that you can share with everybody?
I think I just want to talk about the importance of understanding your competitors and going super niche. I think that ultimately, Amazon is getting more and more competitive. You're dealing with it yourself with this egg rack holder, and fight the urge to want to go broad. Instead, go specific, find those opportunities. They always exist, and the more niche you can go, the more opportunity you have to be able to really connect deeply with customers, get that fan loyalty, that excitement around your product, and then you can just use that to build your momentum. So we see that in many of the biggest D2C brands out there, not just on Amazon. It's a really effective strategy, and as AI becomes even more dominant, it's more and more important to go specific, to strategically position, and to be clear about what makes you special, and then really highlight and celebrate that so that people have a reason to buy from you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and thanks for your great work on this egg rack. And yeah, like if you want to go tweak it now after seeing it and knowing what's going on, let's work on it some more, and then share results later with everybody.